Hi everyone, I'm Michael Gonzalez of Less is More Horsemanship in Delphi, Indiana. And I got an email from someone in the UK asking that if I don't believe in round penning or doing a lot of excessive lunging, then how do I start colts or how do I work with horses? I guess what's more important than how do I start them is why I don't use a round pen or excessive lunging. Let me explain why. Personally, I think it's a crutch, and I really wanted to take some time in this video and explain to everyone. You've read the article, and I still keep getting emails, and I want to tell you it's a crutch. If you go on an internet message board, any of them on the internet, and you look at, they'll usually have problem-solving little message board on there, or people will post or questions about problems they're having with their horses. People will say things like, my horse isn't doing flying lead changes. And the typical response is, well, he's not respecting your leg cues. You need to go back and round pen him some more and get his respect and get a joint up. And, in all reality, it's a bunch of malarkey. The round pen has become a crutch, just like bigger bits have become a crutch, or whips or lunging or any of that kind of thing. So I think, originally it had a good purpose, but like bits and spurs, they become one of the most abused and overused tools in horsemanship today. And there are two principles or theories behind using the round pen. One of them is the old alpha horse herd dynamic theory, and we're just going to cover that very simply, but the concept here is that in the pecking order of the herd, let's say a lower ranking horse does something that offends the higher ranking horse, and we're being very simplistic here. It does something to offend the higher ranking horse. Well, the higher ranking horse will, or the alpha horse will run the horse out of the herd and continue to run it around, not let it back in within the safety of the herd. Now, horses being prey animals, there's safety in numbers. So being cast out to them means eventual certain death. And we always know that's not the case, but within the herd dynamic, that's how they feel. So we tend to use the round pen as that we're going to use this herd dynamic that's natural to them, run them out, keep them out away from the herd, and when they finally submit and ask to be let in, we let them in, and that's only if they're going to play by the rules. Folks, don't be fooled by that. That's nothing more than still dominating the horse. It's just another way to dominate the horse. We might use it in fuzzy-wuzzy terms and say that it's all part of natural horsemanship, but it's really about dominating the horse. And let me explain why. Let's say you go to your pasture gate and your horse comes running to you. Sees you coming, man, he just beats it to the gate. And you hold the halter out, and it sticks its nose in the halter like so many of them do, and you tie it and it stands there, and you go to the gate and open it, and your horse waits patiently, and you open the gate, you walk through the gate with your horse disengages the hindquarters and turns and faces the gate and waits on you to close the gate. Then you walk to the hitching post, horse walks, follows right behind you, you get to the hitching post, you tie it up, you go to groom it, horse stands there perfectly. Everything that the horse has done has been willing and compliant. You take it to the round pen, it follows you through the gate, you take the halter off, and all of a sudden, you tell the horse, get out. Get away from my herd, and you start running the horse. What has the horse done? Nothing. It's been completely compliant, but now you're using something, and it's a negative reinforcement on the horse psychology. You're telling them, get out and run, and you're going to continue to run until you're submissive and you want to behave. Your horse has been compliant and behaving from the moment it ran to you in the pasture. That's why I don't believe in the alpha horse herd dynamic theory. The second one is the adage that you hear a lot of natural horsemanship using about work the feet to get to the mind. That is nothing more than a fuzzy-wuzzy term for dominating the horse and making it do what you want. I call it the cool hand Luke theory. And if you remember that movie, it starred Paul Newman, Strother Martin, George Kennedy, Wayne Rogers. In that movie, the prison warden, Strother Martin, has this famous line, everyone's familiar with it, and it says, what we've got here is a failure to communicate. And that work the feet to get to the mind is nothing more than the cool hand Luke theory. We're just failure to communicate with our partner. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work this horse, just like they worked Paul Newman until he finally broke down mentally. We're going to work this horse until he submits. And I think there's a better way to communicate. So we don't subscribe to the cool hand Luke theory. And there's two ways that I can help, people solve their round pen problems. Number one is to put out a round pen DVD. And I won't do that. The market's already flooded with round penning. How many more DVDs on round penning do we need? we're already overloaded with them, so we can forget that. The second thing that we can do is just not use one. And the best way that I can convince people that there's other ways to communicate, to get join-ups, to get good partnerships, and play and work with their horse is to not use a round pen at all. I don't want to show people here's a better way of doing it. I'm going to show people don't use it. You have to work a little bit harder, but the results are the same, if not better. So that's why we don't use a round pen. I try to stay out of the round pen. I try not to lunge horses. I want to show people that I can get the same results in just about the same amount of time. Now sometimes, depending on the objective and the task, it might take me an extra day, maybe 2 days. But the burden of responsibility to work is on my shoulders. It's mine. I have to work with my partner. I should be sweating more than my horse. And I know that goes against the grain of a lot of Western horsemen, but that's how we feel. And what we're going to do is we're going to find different ways and better ways to communicate with our horse, still get the joint up, and still get the task involved. So that's why we don't do round penning, and why we refuse to do demos and round penning and 1 hour sack, saddle, and lope, colt starting, because it's all based on that crutch of working the feet to get to the mind and forcing our horse or dominating our horse to do what we want. And that's our basic principle of why we don't round pen. Hope that kind of makes sense. Keep the questions coming. Thanks for hanging out with me.